Shifting focus now, a prominent Tanzanian activist who was kidnapped and released in Kenya over the weekend has now blamed the Tanzanian government's role behind her abduction. A well-known Tanzanian journalist and activist, Maria Sarungi Tsehai, was kidnapped by 3 armed men on the streets of Kenya's capital Nairobi on Sunday. She says she was dragged out of her taxi into their vehicle. They choked and handcuffed her and demanded access to her mobile phones while speeding out of the city. After a long time on the road, her captors stopped the car and appeared to be holding discussions with a superior. Now, Tsehai, who has been critical of Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan, went into exile in Kenya 4 years ago after learning she would be arrested. She blames the government for her abduction in Nairobi.
I am sure that the abduction, part of the abduction was to get access to my devices and to get access to the activities that I do online, which include, of course, sometimes doing whistleblowing, but also doing a lot around abductions in Tanzania. So that is the first thing that I really felt that they really wanted.
Sarungi says that her disappearance was immediately reported to rights groups who raised the alarm. She believes the rapid furor in the media and online is what forced her captors to release her. She added that the abduction attempt will not make her give up.
I will not stop, I will not relent, and I will not decrease anything. And in fact, it has given me so much things to be grateful for. As you rightfully said, this could have gone so wrong. There was a point in time when I was convinced that I was about to be taken across, and I knew the minute I crossed, you would never hear from me again. I'll become another poster. So I will never stop, never, ever stop. And if this was done, whether to intimidate me, to really harm me, that will never stop me.
Tsehai's brief detention comes as the governments of both Tanzania and Kenya stand accused of abducting critics. In the past year, the Tanzanian government has been blamed for several abductions of critics. The most high-profile case involved a senior opposition leader who was allegedly abducted, tortured and brutally murdered. Last year, dozens of opposition members were also arrested and some were killed. While Tanzania's president has publicly denounced the killings and abductions and has also launched a probe, there have been concerns that the country under her is returning to a repressive rule against what she had promised. The incident also highlights Kenya's growing reputation for allowing foreign governments to kidnap their citizens. This is not an isolated case. In July, a group of 36 Ugandan opposition members were abducted in Kenya and forcibly returned for a terrorist trial. The same happened to former Ugandan presidential candidate in November, and he now faces a widely condemned military trial. Then in October, 4 Turkish refugees were abducted in Nairobi and forcibly returned. The country has also seen a wave of abductions targeting its own citizens, focused on critics of President William Ruto in the wake of the massive youth-led protests. Authorities in Kenya and Tanzania have not commented on the activist's abduction. However, the latest abduction incident of Maria Sarungi Tsehai certainly adds more pressure on governments of both countries facing dissent.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines. Detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.